Is Bran Stark secretly the Night King? The most elaborate and murder-filled game of musical chairs comes to an end this April with the final season of HBO's Game of Thrones. Between the armies of the dead marching on the realm of the living and Dany and Jon having the most uncomfortable morning after talk of all time, fans are whipping themselves into a frenzy trying to figure out what's gonna happen in the final 6 episodes. Now, perhaps the Lord of Light is smiling on Game of Thrones fandom because one of the show's oldest and most enduring fan theories is back in the mix, that Bran Stark is actually the Night King. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, how can Bran Stark be both the Three-Eyed Raven and the Night King? Well, like all fan theories worth their salt, this involves time travel, vaguely defined powers, and a gigantic leap of faith on behalf of you, the viewer. Now, if this comes to pass, it could be considered a major spoiler, so if your hunger for forbidden knowledge isn't as ravenous as Samwell Tarly's, then you might want to return to the Citadel and groove to the diarrhythm until all of this blows over. For a full deep dive into the Bran as the Night King theory, check out what staff writer Mikey Walsh wrote on Nerdist.com, but in the meantime, we're gonna summarize it here so you can convince your pals that you're the maester with the mostest. This theory, which was Melisandre'd back to life by Redditor Turmoil26, puts forth that Bran has been trying to travel back in time to save mankind from the White Walkers and the impending Great War. He's tried this multiple times over the years, with each attempt ending in failure. On his final attempt, he actually becomes trapped inside of the Night King himself. But Bran isn't like your average teenager. I mean, sure, he's a moody, whiny, total wiener, but he also has the power to warg into humans, transfer his consciousness into their bodies to operate them like big, meaty puppets. In addition, Bran possesses the Green Sight. It's a separate power that lets him perceive the distant past, the present, and even the future through prophetic dreams. And sometimes he can even affect the past, as evidenced by Hodor and the Tower of Joy.
Father!
So naturally, a Bran in the distant future might see how this great war ends and try to alter the past so that it never comes about. Hey, remember the Mad King Aerys II?
Burn them all!
Yeah, that guy. That was Bran trying to convince him to burn the White Walkers. Unfortunately, the Mad King didn't quite put 2 and 2 together, so instead of torching the White Walkers before their big recruitment drive, he almost barbecued his own subjects and would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you pesky Jaime Lannisters earning the title of Kingslayer. For his second attempt at using his powers to save the realm, Bran went way back to the beginning to figure out how humanity stopped the White Walkers the first time. But because time travel and green sight are imprecise arts, he arrived a little too late, so he inhabited the body of the legendary hero Bran the Builder and built the wall to keep the White Walkers up north where they belong. Really should have sprung for that anti-Dragon's Breath varnish there, Branny boy, because yikes. For his third attempt, Bran went even further back to prevent the Children of the Forest from creating White Walkers in the first place so they could go to war with mankind. But Bran forgot a very important lesson that both the Blood Raven and Jojen Reed tried to teach him. It's beautiful beneath the sea. Stay too long and you drown. Basically, if you stay too long in someone's body, you can get trapped there. So when Bran warged into the body of that first man turned into a White Walker, his consciousness became trapped inside of what would eventually become the Night King. For thousands of years, Bran lived as the Night King, giving that blue-eyed creep all of Bran's powers as well. Now, this could explain why the Night King was able to see younger Bran during his green sight dream. It also might explain this.
You'll never walk again. But you will fly.
Smash cut to... It could also explain why the Night King let Jon Snow get away at Hardhome, because that was the first time that Bran saw one of his family members in hundreds and hundreds of years. This theory obviously raises far more questions than it answers, especially because it involves complex time loops and powers that are extremely loosely defined. Like, will Jon Snow have to kill Bran to break this loop? I mean, George R.R. Martin did once say the show is gonna have a bittersweet ending, and honestly, what could be worse than having to put one of your own family members to the sword? Regardless, we don't totally buy this theory as it stands right now. It is as close of an answer to the many mysteries Game of Thrones has spawned thus far, but I don't know, only time will tell. But tell me, what do you think? Is Bran the Night King? How do you think Game of Thrones will actually end? Let's discuss. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and share this video with your friends, and until the next time that seeing a long-lost family member makes you decide to flex on them real quick, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.